Alright, in this tutorial we are going to go through how you can take a regular picture and how you can create sort of a drawing painting effect using some simple filters. So here's sort of the end result of what our picture is going to look like. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to revert back to the very beginning, and let me go ahead and get my picture to fit on the screen, and we'll go through the steps to go ahead and create this drawing and painting effect. Now, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a second layer of this picture. Now, we know that we can just grab the background layer and drag it and drop it down here on the new layer icon, but I also quickly want to show you an alternate way. You can also right-click on your layer, and when you right-click on your layer, this little menu pops up. You can just choose Duplicate Layer, and the Create a New Name for Layer icon box comes up right away. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to leave this called Background Copy, and I'll say OK. And now if I come down to my Layers panel, you see I have two layers, Background and Background Copy. So that's a pretty handy way to create a new layer as well. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to apply some filters to this image, but I need to make sure that I have my Background Copy layer selected. I'm going to apply those filters to this layer, and the settings might not be exactly the same for your picture as they are for my picture. Some of it's going to depend on the picture you choose, so you might have to play around with it a little bit, but I'll go ahead and show you what we're going to do. With my Background Copy layer selected, I'm going to come up to my menu bar and I'm going to go to my filter menu, and I'm going to come down to where it says Other, and from Other the second one down says High Pass. I'm going to go ahead and choose High Pass, and you can see right away it kind of creates this cool looking grayish effect. Now I have my radius set at 16 pixels. I'm going to go ahead and show you real quickly how to choose your radius, because this is dependent upon the picture. I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of it for a second. I'm going to come back up to my menu bar and I'm going to go to Image and Image Size. And what I'm going to look at is the width of my picture. This particular picture is 4,272 pixels wide. Essentially what I want is I want to use a radius of 2 for every 500 pixels of width. So if this picture was just 500 pixels wide, I would do 2. If it's 1,000 pixels wide, I would do 4. In this case, it's about 4,000 pixels wide, so I need a radius of 16. You'll have to adjust that based on your own picture. So I'm going to go up to Filter, Other, High Pass. I have mine set at 16. You'll have to get this for your picture, and I'll go ahead and I'll say OK. So now I have sort of a cool looking background effect. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to apply another filter, and once again I want to make sure that I have my Background Copy layer selected. So I'll go up to my filter menu, and this time I'm going to come down to Artistic, and I'm going to choose Film Grain, and up will pop the Film Grain menu. Now you can kind of play around with this. You have these settings over here, and as you play around with it, you'll notice that an example of your image appears over here on the left that you can kind of mess around with. Now if you want to be able to see your entire image, you can just come down here to the bottom left. There's this little drop down arrow. I'm just going to choose Fit and View, and there is my entire image. So I can kind of see what my image looks like as I go through these different settings. Now if I come back over to my settings, I think for every picture you're going to want a grain of 0. Alright, the highlight area will be pretty high, but this is one that you can kind of play with on your picture and see what it's going to be. Maybe it's 15, maybe it's 16, maybe it's 20. And the intensity is going to be high as well, probably 8, 9, or 10. But you're looking for something like this. If you come over here to the preview, this is something that you're looking at. It almost looks like it's been hand drawn is what you want to get. Once you go ahead and get that, accidentally got out of it there. Let me go back into Filter, Artistic, and Film Grain. Once you go ahead and get that, go ahead and say OK, and now you see what has happened to your picture. Okay. Now we're going to blend our two layers together. I'm going to come down here. You see I have my two layers, my background copy and my background. I want to go ahead and blend these layers together. Now naturally it's set to normal blending. We're actually going to use a different blend mode. I'm going to go ahead and from this drop down menu I'm going to choose overlay. And once I choose overlay, if I come back out to where you can see my picture, you can kind of notice it looks like a picture, but as I look especially on the face here, you can see some of the remnants of almost like a drawing. So we got a pretty cool looking effect going. Now we're going to apply another filter, but this time we're actually going to apply it to the background layer. So go ahead and come down here and select the background layer. And once I select the background layer, I'm going to come up to the filter menu and I'm going to go to artistic again and I'm going to choose cutout. Alright, now once we get in cutout, once again I'll come down here and I'll put fit in view so I can see my picture. Alright, and then I'm going to come over here to where I have my different settings. Once again, you can apply different things to this, but you're going to want your number of levels to be pretty high. I have mine all the way at 8. You're going to want your edge simplicity definitely at 0. Okay, you definitely need that at 0. And the edge fidelity, I would go ahead and put that all the way over to the right at 3. I'll go ahead and say OK. And your end result should look something like that. You don't see a lot of adjustments to it, but it should be looking something like that. Now, we're going to make a third layer, and it's very important that we make the third layer from the correct layer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to choose my background copy, and I'm going to make this the third layer. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to drag it down to the new layer icon this time, and it creates a third layer called background copy 2. You can go ahead and leave it as that. But look what has happened to my picture. My picture has changed a little bit. If I step backwards, you can see what it was. I'll go ahead and I'll step forward again. So we have a little bit of a change once we created that third layer. Now, with that third layer selected, I am going to go up to my filter menu, and I'm going to go to artistic, and I'm going to come down to poster edges, and this is going to create some really good edges for me. Once again, I'll come down here and I'll choose fit in view so I can see my entire picture. Now it's black and white in here because I'm only seeing that layer, and that's fine, but I'm going to come over and I'm going to create an edge thickness of 10, an edge intensity of 10, and a posterization of 0. Now if you want to, you can go ahead and let me go ahead and get back into that menu. If you want to, you can go ahead and you can play around a little bit with these settings, and you can kind of see what it does over in the preview. But these are pretty much going to be what you want, 10, 10, and 0. But you can just kind of mess around just to see what it looks like. Once I do that, I'll go ahead and say OK, and here you can see what we have. Now for this particular layer, I'm going to blend this layer as well, background copy 2, but I want to, instead of choosing overlay, I'm going to choose multiply. So I'm going to go ahead and come up here and choose multiply, and I'm actually going to mess with the opacity of this layer. I'm going to slide the opacity all the way down to about 30, so that the other layers bleed through a little bit. And once I get it set at that, you should have something that looks like that. And so that's your final result.